Okay. I believe that we are back up and running. I guess so. Yeah. So I do apologize for that technical delay. Good morning, whoever you are, wherever you are. I hope that you are blessed and in good spirits. And I think that I should check my mic real quick because usually when one thing cuts off, everything cuts off. Nope, we got sound. We are good to go. And we're live. Okay. Welcome back, my blessed. Welcome, Lord Jesus. We're live and I'm fumbling already, you guys. Sorry. Welcome back to Blessed by Grace with your girl Tanika. On today's scripture walkthrough, we are actually going to jump right on into it. Welcome, welcome, welcome if you are new here. And hello to my family that has been sticking alongside of me for these walks. I do want to remind you, especially for those who are new, these are simply walkthroughs. They are not deep dives. You will see me scratch my head. You will see me stumble. You will see me stutter. But hopefully, what you will see past all of that is the essence of God, the characteristics of God, and something that you can take from these scriptures and apply to your life even now. Remember that the Bible was not written directly to us, but it was written specifically for us to get to know our Creator. And this is the most inconvenient time right now. Not right now. No. Okay. So yeah. Sorry about that. But anywho, we are in chapter 30 of the book of we are in chapter 30 of the book of Genesis this morning, and I just could not be any more happy with what God has revealed to us, or not even revealed, because it's just us taking the time to read the scriptures, right? So what we have learned in regards to him and how good he is, but also the stories going along the way and what stories that we can attribute to our lives and help transform. I know that since we've been reading this, there has been some changes in my life. There has been new perspectives that I have been able to gain and some insight from these scriptures. So if you have not already caught up to chapter 30, I do suggest that you push pause right here, right now, and head back so that you can catch up. We are walking together through this. This is not a race or a sprint to to beat the next person. No, I want you alongside of me during this time. So let's get on into it. We have the continuation of Jacob's sons, Jacob's flock multiplying, and that will close us out. So Jacob seems to be getting ahead a little bit after his little incident. Um, yeah, let's see. So it reads, and you can open up, mind you, I'm reading from the Holman CSB version. I absolutely love it. I do recommend it. But of course, read from whatever version God has spoken to you through, or the Bible that you can understand and that you can regurgitate. Because what we don't want to do is be reading and not understand what we're reading, or not be able to articulate what it is that we have read. So yeah, CSB is the one for me. Verse 1 reads, when Rachel saw that she was not bearing Jacob any children, she envied her sister. All right, here we go. This little sinful word that has gotten so many women in Sarah, so many in trouble. But let's see. Give me sons or I will die. As if he can give it to her directly. All right, so you already see that her sight, or where her hope lies, is already in the wrong place. Her hope is right now in Jacob, and Jacob is not the giver of life. He is the creator in a sense, but he is not the giver of it. um She said to Jacob. Jacob became angry with Rachel and said, am I in the place of God? Here we go. Thank you, Jacob. So Jacob has remembered whose he is and who brings life. Hmm. Am I in the place of God? He has withheld offspring from you. Jacob's letting you know he didn't hold it for me. I'm having children. Your sister over here, she got 4 of my sons now. This ain't on me. There's something wrong with you. Verse 3. Then she said, here is my maid, Bala. Oh, Lord Jesus. Okay. I get it. I get it. During these times, this was a natural thing. If a woman couldn't bear, she was getting up there in age, okay, take my slave, let her have a baby, I'll raise it. I get it. It was that time. But why do we still see history repeating itself? Okay. Go sleep with her and she'll bear children for me so that through her I too can build a family. So Rachel gave her slave Bilhah to Jacob as a wife and he slept with her. Golly, these men. Bilhah conceived and bore Jacob's son. Rachel said, God has vindicated me. Yes, he has heard me and given me a son. He ain't give you nothing. Come on, Rachel. He didn't give you nothing. He gave Bala a son. He still gave you nothing. So she named him Dan. That's one of the most not creative names right now that we have read through. The name Dan. Go ahead and read and see what the name Dan means. Matter of fact, we'll do it right here, right now. What does the name Dan mean? Let's see. Not dank. Come on, Google. You messing up right now. The name. There we go. Let me be more specific. Okay. And Dan means he judged. Okay, he judged. I guess that is fitting for this. But verse 7 goes on to read, Rachel's slave Bilhah conceived again. Jacob wasn't done with her. And bore Jacob a second son. So now this man is up to 6 sons. Rachel said, in my wrestlings with God, I have wrestled with my sister and won. And she named him Naphtali. Naphtali. The fact that she believes, or she even is stating that this is her way of wrestling with God. So I don't know. From that, all I can think of is the fact that you're fighting with God. You're going against the grain of God. You're not in line with God. You're trying to beat him at what you cannot beat him at. And that's to have children. At this time, you're going totally contrary to what you should have. Instead of seeking him through this time, you decided to wrestle with him. And you believe that wrestling with him at this time is somehow having one up on your sister or beating your sister in a way. Let's see what the word says. Verse 9. When Leah saw that she had stopped having children, she took her slave Zilpah and gave her to Jacob as a wife. Golly, hey, man. Leah's slave Zilpah bore Jacob a son. Then Leah said, what good fortune. And she named him Gad. Golly, so we got Gad, we got Dan, we got Naphtali. Verse 12. When Leah's slave Ziplah bore Jacob a second son, Leah said, I am happy that the woman called me happy. So she named him Asher. Asher must be happy or something along those lines. We'll look at it later. Verse 14. Reuben went out during the wheat harvest and found some mandrakes in the field. When he brought them to his mother Leah, Rachel asked, please give me some of your son's mandrakes. Okay. So Reuben is Leah's firstborn. So he went out to the harvest and got mandrakes. Are those oranges? I'm gonna have to look that up. And he brought it to his mother. But Rachel wanted some. Okay. Let's see. Verse 15. But Leah replied to her, "Isn't it enough that you have taken my husband? Now you also want to take my son's mandrake." All right. Now, Leah, now you just picking fights because you just bitter and old at this point. But the sad part is Rachel didn't take your husband because he wanted Rachel to begin with, but was tricked into having you. And this is what is it, what they call them? Just some type of situationship. Yeah, this is definitely a situationship. He goes on to read, well, then Rachel said, he can sleep with you tonight in exchange for your son's mandrakes. What? How are you telling me when this is my husband and I was married to him first for one, for 7 years before you even became his wife. And now you telling me that in order for me to get something to eat, or in order for you to get something to eat, I can sleep with him. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about these situationships, y'all. Because I know for me, I would never push anyone to my husband or allow him to go into anyone else. So this whole situation is just like it's wild. Verse 16. When Jacob came in from the field that evening, Leah went out to meet him and said, "You must come with me, for I have hired you with my son's mandrakes." So Jacob slept with her that night. I guess that was once again something during those times. God listened to Leah and she conceived and bore Jacob a fifth son. Leah said, "God has rewarded me for giving my slave to my husband," and she named him Issachar. Issachar. I think it's Issachar. But I don't understand too why and maybe I just have to keep reading. But why would we believe that God is rewarding us for allowing our husbands to sleep with someone else? It did say that God listened to Leah, which means Leah went to God. Leah wasn't putting all her faith or her trust in her husband, but she was speaking to God. She was communing with God because he was listening to her. Verse 19, then Leah conceived again and bore Jacob a sixth son. Now, look, y'all just going ham. God had given me a good gift, Leah said. This time my husband will honor me because I have borne six sons to him. And she named him Zebulun. Zebulun. Later Leah bore a daughter and named her Dinah. Oh god. She must have been a spoiled little girl because all these boys before her. Let's see, that's 6 and 2, 7, 8. It's about nine sons before the first daughter. Then God remembered Rachel. He listened to her and opened her womb. She conceived and bore a son and she said, God has taken away my disgrace. She named him Joseph and said, may the Lord add another son to me. So Rachel finally sought God and not her husband. I wonder what Joseph this is. But at this time, God had taken away her disgrace. Verse 25, it reads, after Rachel gave birth to Joseph, Jacob said to Laban, send me on my way so that I can return to my homeland. Give me my wives and my children that I have worked for, and let me go. You know how hard I have worked for you. Mind you, he's worked for his first wife for 7 years. It was supposed to be Rachel, but he ended up getting tricked into Leah. Then he ended up having to work another 7 years to get Rachel. So it's a total of 14 years already. But he must have stayed longer while he was having these children and all the case. And now he's like, all right, I'm ready to go. But Laban said to him, if I found favor with you, stay. If you like it here, if you love me, if I've made you comfortable. Please stay. I've learned by divination, that the Lord has this divine intervention, right? Divination, divine. I think so. I'll look it up. Go look it up. Um, the Lord has blessed me because of you. Then Laban said, "Name your wages, and I will pay you." He wants to keep him there. He knows that I believe he knows that there is something on the life of Jacob, and that Jacob is a child of God, and he's in his lineage, and he does have his daughters and now all of his grandkids, but something about him won't let Jacob go. So Jacob said to him, "You know how I've served you and how your herd has fared with me. For you have for you had very little before." Okay, so this is why. Before Jacob got to him, or before Jacob came to him, he only had small. He didn't have too much. But since Jacob has been there, and since he has been tending to the flocks and all this other stuff, and now his family, I'm pretty sure, has been helping and contributing, his flock and his bounty and everything that he had has grown. So of course, if I got a good thing, I don't want to let that good thing go either, right? So let's see what happens. Okay. For you had very, and we're on verse 30. For you had very little before I came, but now your wealth has increased. I like that one. Let's see. The Lord has blessed you because of me. There it goes. And now, when will I also do something for my own family? It's time to leave. I have 4 wives and Lord knows how many children. I'm ready to go ahead and establish myself, because right now I'm only building into you. I'm only building into your empire, or aiding you in establishing yourself. Now you're established. You have enough. Let me go ahead and make a name for myself and do for my family. Verse 31, Laban asks, "What should I give you?" He is not trying to back up. And Jacob said, "You don't need to give me anything. If you do this one thing for me, I will continue to shepherd and keep your flock. Let me go through all your sheep today and remove every sheep that is speckled or spotted, even dark colored sheep among the lambs, and the spotted and speckled among the female goats. Such will be my wages." So I'll take off your lesser. That's how you can pay me. That's what I'll take. I will help you one more time before I leave you. That's how you can pay me. In the future, when you come to check on my wages, my honesty will testify for me. If I have any female goats that are not speckled or spotted, or any lambs that are not black, they will be considered stolen. So not only is he taking the lesser, or the sometimes unclean or ceremonially unclean, but he's telling him that he will remain with them. So if any flock, or if any part of his flock ever was perfect, then he would be charged with theft, because those belong to Laban. Verse 34. "Good," said Laban, "let it be as you have said." So he agreed. That day Laban removed the streaked and spotted male goats and all the speckled and spotted female goats, every one that had any white on it, and every dark colored one among the lambs, and he placed his sons in charge of them. He put a 3-day journey between himself and Jacob. Jacob, meanwhile, was shepherding the rest of Laban's flock. Jacob then took branches of fresh poplar almond, okay, yeah, fresh poplar almond, and plain wood, and peeled the bark, exposing white strips on the branches. He set the peeled branches in a trough in front of the sheep, in the water channels where the sheep come to drink. And the sheep bred when they came to drink. Okay. The flock bred in front of the branches and bore streaked, speckled, and spotted young. Jacob separated the lambs and made the flocks face the streaked sheep and the completely dark sheep in Laban's flock. Then he set his own stock apart and didn't put them with Laban's sheep. Okay, so they're separating everything. Got it. So that all of his sheep will bear like sheep. Got it. Verse 41. Whenever the stronger of the flock were breeding, Jacob placed the branches in the trough in full view of the flocks, and they would breed in front of the branches. As for the weaklings of the flock, he did not put out the branches. So it turned out that the weak sheep belonged to Laban, and the stronger sheep was to Jacob. And the men became very rich. He had many flocks, female and male slaves, and camels and donkeys. So taking the spotted and speckled ended up just being even more of a blessing to Jacob. May God add a blessing to the reading of his word. But I want to go ahead on over and see what the doctor has to say about this situationship, this blessing. You see, and also, and this is no shame to any person that is in the house with family or whatever the case may be. You can establish and you can do whatever you feel inside of someone else's house, but you will never be able to establish yourself until you yourself have left the nest. I hope that comes across well. Chapter 30. Let's see what doctor says about this. Rachel was also having family difficulties because her sister was bearing children while she wasn't. So, of course, she envied her. She felt like she was dying. Jacob became angry with Rachel and didn't offer much reassurance other than the truth. A reminder that God has withheld offspring from her, not that he could give life to her or help her bear a child, because he had already once again bore 4 sons. This wasn't his doing. This is ultimately God's doing. She offered to Jacob, her servant, of course, to be a surrogate mother who would have the kids on her behalf. The plan worked, resulting in 2 sons. Not to be outdone, Leah responded in kind, offering her servant to Jacob. Her human solution worked well, and just as Sarah's did, with 2 more sons, Gad and Asher. The sisters then manipulated competitions for Jacob's affection, continued this time, leading to Reuben's involvement, finding some mandrakes in the field, which the fruit believed to help women conceive. Reuben brought them to his mother Leah, who agreed to share some with Rachel in exchange for another night with Jacob, where she, of course, conceived again. Twice, actually. Then Rachel finally had her first child, Joseph. Her first. The drama between Rachel and Leah, which rivals anything modern soap operas could produce, reveals God's ability. Listen to what we are revealing about God. Reveals God's ability to graciously meet our needs in all things, in spite of the sisters' human and sinful approaches to the situations. God still blessed them for them. God still provided and blessed them. Their sinful tactics continued to make matters confusing and painful, but God was gracious to mitigate against the damages. What a mighty God we serve, because we can mess up some things. But the grace, blessed by what? Blessed by grace. Jacob had arrived to Laban's house poor and alone when he first came. But by the point, God had multiplied him tremendously, so he desired to return to his homeland. He was good now. He was comfortable. He was able to go ahead and set foot out by himself. Laban, however, knew how beneficial Jacob was to his business, and he wanted to strike a deal for Jacob to stay. So Jacob offered to stay if only he could have the speckled and spotted dark colored sheep among the lambs and the goats. These were considered less valuable. So Laban immediately accepted the yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. If as long as you're staying, sure. He separated the flock to protect his investment, thinking he had once again gotten better of gotten the better of Jacob or gotten over on Jacob because he's done it in the past, unfortunately. So he thought that he was doing it again. Now, husbandry manual teaches that animals that breed in the sight of peeled branches produce the speckled offspring. Jacob was attempting to selectively breed speckled sheep, but God was the one supernaturally guiding the process. In the end, the weak sheep belonged to Laban and the stronger ones to Jacob, and Jacob became even more rich. This is a reminder that it doesn't matter how good a deal seems in human terms, the man on whose side God stands will always have the better deal. So, whose side do you want to stand on? That's the question you got to ask yourself and go through. I hope this once again has been a blessing to you and that you were able to pull some things out from these scriptures that either you can use in your life, you can share with somebody else, or that God is just, speaking to you through. Let me know down in the comments below. Questions, comments, concerns. I'm still scratching my head about the situation shit. What caught you off guard in today's verses? I don't forget to also hit the like button if you stuck around with me so I know that you are engaged and we are walking together, brothers and sisters. For those who think it not robbery, remember, for one, if you think you're perfect, don't do this next step. But if you are an imperfect person, such as myself, striving to be more like our perfect God and to grow more in Him day by day, then go ahead and hit that subscribe button and get locked in so that you can get notified. Hit the bell so that every time I go live, you're right there with me. I do have to go ahead and get on over to work. Don't forget to follow me on my social media pages. Same hashtag blessed by _grace so that you can stay up to date with other things that are going on as well. And don't forget that this month we are sharing biblical facts, insights, and some tidbits. So definitely keep an eye out for that. Yesterday we learned about the shortest verse in the Bible in John, and today we're learning about the longest book in the Bible in Esther. Believe a total of 90 words or so in one verse. So yeah, definitely stick around for more. Thank you guys once again for watching Blessed by Grace with your girl Tanika, and as always, stay blessed. I need some outro music. It's not doing it.